Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run in the Paint recap. Today is Sunday, April 26th, back here once again on the weekend after another full day of crazy playoff action. I'm Miles here with Ben. Ben, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing well and living life good today, and just another crazy day of playoff action. And we
Yes,
gotta get into this.
sir. Yes, very excited to get into all the crazy playoff games we had here today. As always, you can check the description down below if you want to fast forward to hear us talk about any specific games. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more NBA playoff content coming to you every single day to talk about all these incredible postseason games. Let's get started with an unlikely result in game four between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coming in after the Timberwolves dominated game three, Denver just really struggled on both ends of the floor. Coming in this game, they got one of their big pieces back in Aaron Gordon, who missed game three with the calf injury. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were the team that unfortunately went down with some major injuries in the first minute of the game. Starting point guard Dante DiVincenzo tore his Achilles and is going to be out for the rest of the season. And then late in the first half, Anthony Edwards hyperextended his knee going down. So Minnesota was without their starting backcourt for the entire second half, but it didn't matter. Minnesota got the win again, defeating the Nuggets in game four, 112-96 to take a 3-1 lead against the Nuggets in this series, thanks to a career game from Dosunmu, who put up, as you see on the screen, 43 points, 13 for 17 from the field, 5 for 5 from three, and 12 for 12 at the free throw line. Ben, a whole lot to unpack here from this game. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, just what a crazy, eventful game. I gotta start off with that. And Minnesota, another impressive victory. And it was like, well, the result of what went on in this game was good, but another part of it was bad with the injuries that is not going to be helpful for them going forward in the playoffs. But today was a big victory. Still, they played really well. But I was thinking maybe Denver could come back mm, when Edwards went down, but now Minnesota still found a way, which is impressive. And a big part of that was it all started on defense. Minnesota was phenomenal on defense once again. Just for Denver, they struggled to shoot again. Only 21% from 3 point range. Ooh, that's just brutal. Gobert still looked fantastic on defense. 2 steals, 2 blocks, 15 rebounds for Gobert today. And my goodness, I had to see it. What a game. He was looking like Anthony Edwards out there. He really stepped it up off the bench. Just blown away by how he did.
Yeah, just unbelievable here after those Timberwolves guys go down with injury. And as of recording this, we're not the game just finished, so there is not a clear report about the Anthony Edwards injury. We know and we knew pretty quickly from the DiVincenzo play where he tore his Achilles non-contact going for, a rebound, kind of the exact same thing that we saw happen with Damian Lillard last year. It was like the exact same sort of play, Ben. And that just sucks for them. And then the Ant Edwards, injury happens. Hopefully he's back later in this series, maybe even for game five. But just for DiVincenzo, you just feel so bad. And for a Timberwolves team that relies so much on him as their lead guard with not a whole lot of point guards on this team, it's just a tough injury to see happen, especially with this being the first and hopefully one of the few Achilles injuries that we see in this year's playoffs compared to last year where we saw three of them in the playoffs, all from guys wearing the number 0. by the way. And it happened again with DiVincenzo. It's just an unfortunate coincidence there, you hope. But, you just, I love how the Timberwolves just kept on fighting. And in the first half, you could tell, they were trying to adjust and figure out how to go through without those two guys. But in the second half, they absolutely dominated.
Yeah, it's crazy how they just found a way to absolutely dominate, and just Jokic still struggled making shots. Like, strange, Jokic being like a superstar. I haven't seen it for like this long of a stretch in like a playoff series where he's just continuously struggling to shoot. It's strange, and Jokic, like, man, he's got to figure it out for Denver heading back home somehow for Game 5, which is like, definitely must win. If you lose, like, the season's somehow already over. But I mean, having the home court advantage back again for Denver definitely will help in Game 5. But like I said before, a lot of credit to Rudy Gobert. He's been absolutely brilliant this series, and for Minnesota, like, they could maybe just have one more like great type of defensive performance like this. Wow, sure to get all right on offense. They just need one more win, and it could maybe be enough to at least get to the second round. But but having damn Anthony Edwards is a concern. But still, like, maybe they take one game, because we have seen them play well sometimes in the regular season when they didn't have Anthony Edwards in the lineup. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, this whole second half they didn't have him, and even when he's been healthy in this game, and really even in this series, Ben, Anthony Edwards has not really played his best either. Like, Minnesota is up 3-1, with Dosunmu being their most consistent offensive player, and Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels leading them defensively. And it really has been crazy. Just to note here, in the second half of play, Minnesota outscored Denver 62-42 by 20, and Denver shot 9 for 37 from the field in the second half, 24%. They got 22 of their 42 points from the free throw line, where they got there a lot, 22 for 24 at the line in the second half. But you're not going to win many games when you shoot 24% and a half and 2 for 13 from 3. And you look at a guy like Nikola Jokic, who we expected to come out here in the second half with, a vengeance, looking to be aggressive, looking to score. And he was, he got off to a great start, I thought, Ben, knocking down shots we normally see him make, the fadeaways and the jump hooks over Gobert. It looked like he may have figured him out a little bit. But then in the second half, Jokic goes 1 for 10 from the field, and Murray goes 5 for 14. And on the Wolves side, Dosunmu goes for 27 in the second half alone.
Yeah, it's just, he was on fire, and he was cold. Like, it just seemed like it came down to that. Whose shooting was on fire and whose was cold, sort of, to determine the outcome.
Yeah, so just incredible that Minnesota was able to get this done. Something that we do need to talk about, though, Ben, was something that happened at the tail end of the game. As Minnesota, they go on this crazy run in the fourth quarter to pull away. They end up winning this game by 16 points. The final play of the game, the Nuggets miss a 3, and the game is over. Shot clock is off. The Timberwolves, get the rebound. And in like every NBA game that you see, there's the unwritten rule, right, where you dribble the clock out. No need to score. The game's already over. Just dribble the clock out. But no, they throw it ahead, and Jaden McDaniels just lays it in to get more points on the board. And then Nikola Jokic is not happy about that whatsoever, runs right up to Jaden McDaniels, who of course has, been saying some things about Denver, in this series. And starts a little brouhaha in front of the Timberwolves bench with a lot of guys getting involved. Jokic and Randall both getting ejected from the game. But this was just crazy. I mean, Ben, it seems like there's something like this that always pops up at some point throughout the regular season and the playoffs. Here it is again. What's your stance kind of on this unwritten rule and your thoughts on Jokic's reaction to McDaniels scoring in the final seconds?
Well, clearly to me, these two teams don't like each other. They really went after it then, but my stance on it is like, I get that, and I believe it's good to have good, respectful sportsmanship, but yeah, I mean, Gina McDaniels could have just dribbled it out, and well, this whole thing would have happened. But like, I mean, I still felt like, I mean, it's a rivalry. I still felt like, I mean, he wanted one more shot to go in, with an exclamation mark. It's all over with. That's fine. And Jokic, I don't know what stemmed him to run all the way across the court like that. I think he was just, I think part of it was he's just mad, frustrated with how the Timberwolves have been handling him, and it just seemed like he felt like running all the way down the court to take that out on them, and that's what started this whole fight thing to me, and yeah, I mean, players, they that don't like each other on these two sides. Well, they showed that not afraid to go after each other sometimes. That happened at the end of the game, and it could create some tensions going into game five, and coming into game five, maybe we'll have to see. But yeah, just crazy event to end the game. Just crazy way to end off of a crazy game.
Yeah, and of course, not only is this something that could lead into game five on the court, but something that could be very interesting going into that game is, Ben, in these situations, I mean, there are rarely situations like this where there's a big altercation in the final seconds of a game like this. But when there are, altercations, during play on the floor, the league is very strict about one thing, because there's one thing that is in the rule book. If any player that isn't in the game and is on the bench runs off the bench during the altercation, it's an automatic 1 game suspension. And in this situation, again, there's 1 second left in the game. So, the Nuggets are already starting to walk off to the locker room. Timberwolves, standing on the court, doing the same thing, applauding their team. But a lot of players got on the court here and walked off the bench here to try to separate this altercation. So this might be a thing. Like, of course, Jokic, he has struggled this series, but he's one of the smartest players to ever play the game of basketball. Part of me wonders, like, it might be a long shot, and obviously, none of us know what's actually going on in Jokic's head. He's a mastermind with the basketball. But what if there's a small chance that Jokic was thinking already, like, hey, man, if players come off the bench and they have to miss the next game, that could help us, going forward, because if players off the bench have to miss the next game because of this, that could be an enormous swing in this series, especially for a Timberwolves team that, I mean, again, they just lost their starting backcourt in this game. And, they weren't a super deep team by any means. They were pretty top heavy with the top 7, 8 players. So if they have to miss even more of their players, that could be a huge storyline heading into game 5 as Denver, their season is now on the line.
Yeah, I don't think that was the reason Jokic did do that. I think it was more so he was just mad at McDaniels and the Timberwolves for how frustrated he's made him out of the court with his struggles. Since Jokic hasn't really struggled like that for that long against a team before. But I mean, Jokic could be happy by the end result of it, possibly if they do have like some Timberwolves guys 1 game suspensions, and I I didn't even totally know somehow that was a rule, but it could happen if that's what you found out as a rule, and that could make Jokic relief potentially going into Game 5 and maybe make him think that, oh, maybe doing this fight was well worth it for me.
Yeah, and I'm going back now to see the actual play. Just to see if anyone, did sort of run off the bench. And guys for Minnesota certainly did, because the play happened right in front of their bench. Denver, it's kind of a weird situation again, because they're on the court in front of their bench, starting to walk to the locker room already. Like, no one's in front of the bench. So the league office is going to have an interesting time on their hands trying to determine if there are any suspensions that need to be handed out to these players, or if they're just going to let it go. But it would appear that if anyone was to be suspended from this altercation, it should be Timberwolves players. But either way, just an impressive victory for Minnesota. Dosunmu has been a huge pickup for that team. Maybe something we can debate later on in this first round in the first round of the playoffs, maybe when Joey comes back on too, so we have more ideas out there, is who was the bigger trade deadline acquisition that no one really talked about, Dosunmu or Luke Kennard, for what they've done for their respective teams here in the playoffs. Because man, I mean, 43 points off the bench, just got the stat. It's the most points off the bench by a player in a playoff game in 50 years. So just a big time performance from Dosunmu, and Minnesota looking very good as for back-to-back years as the lower seed in a series. As the 6th seed, they're up 3-1 with a chance to close it out on the road in game number 5. The first game that happened today was also another crazy result. Game 3 of the Pistons versus the Magic, the series shifting to Orlando, with Orlando looking to bounce back after they got blitzed in the third quarter by Detroit in game 2. And Magic came out and won again, defeating the Pistons 113-105 to take a 2-1 lead on the top seed in the East, the Detroit Pistons. You see there, Pistons got great performances from Tobias Harris and Asar Thompson, efficient performances combining for 40 points. Cade Cunningham had 27, but it took him 23 shots to do it, and he had 9 turnovers. Meanwhile, the Magic, all 5 of their starters came to play and had very strong games, and they just had a very good team performance. But Ben, this is just incredible. I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen a turnaround like this before, where we have a team like Orlando with such high expectations throughout the regular season give us basically nothing during the regular season, and then when the postseason comes around, boom, switch flips, and now they look exactly like the team we thought we were going to get all season.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? But, well, good for them. The playoffs for the Magic, that was what's gonna matter the most still from them this season, even more than the regular season. Even though the regular season was a bit disappointing, not totally ideal to be in the play-in tournament, but at least they're here now in the playoffs, looking good so far against the Pistons and giving the 1 seed a tough battle in a tough physical series. And I mentioned last night in the last episode previewing this game that, well, the Magic key guys are going to have to put up more shots. Desmond Bain, Franz Wagner, if they wanted a better chance to win. And, well, they shot a good amount of shots, and Desmond Bain was shooting it. And look at that. Boom, he was getting some confidence. Shots were falling in. He started out 6 from 3, ended up making 7 threes in the game, scored 25 points. And I mean, Franz didn't have his best shooting game though in this one, but he took more shots at least, which is good. He was more aggressive, and Paolo was putting up shots too while doing other good things out to help the team. He was getting rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, which is a big help there from your star player. And Katie had a good game, but Magic did a great job though, forcing him to turn it over a lot. 9 turnovers is a lot of turnovers, and Magic continued to do a good job at getting up tight on Cade and Pistons guys on offense, and forcing them into difficult spots that causes them to turn the ball over.
Yeah, I mean, just forcing the Pistons to be in uncomfortable situations, and I think one of the biggest players you look in that is Jalen Duren, who once again has a pretty rough game. I mean, I thought he got off to a good start in the early goings in this game, but you look then at the end of the game, 8 points, 3 for 10 shooting. Second time this series he goes for 8 points. His only double-digit scoring game was game 2 where he had 11 points. Like and fouling out in 27 minutes. Like it just was not uh, this was not anywhere close to an all-star caliber performance from someone who is extremely important to the Pistons' success and someone who has been extremely important all season. But once again, I mean, he got clearly got outplayed by Wendell Carter Jr. for the second time in this series, and that's a matchup that of course, Wendell Carter's a solid player there, but Jalen Durden, you're an all-star, 19-10 during the regular season. He was my pick, I believe, for most improved, a candidate for all NBA. That he can. This is ridiculous. He continues to get outplayed here. And of course, this is a new experience for all these young players to be a top seed in the conference going through this sort of situation. But just disappointing stuff, I think, from him. Specifically here. Because if they could have gotten more from Jalen Duren, like even 15 and 12, because he had 5 blocks, he had a good game helping out protecting the rim. Same with Asar Thompson. If they just could have gotten a little bit more from Jalen Duren, it could have been enough down the stretch. And even with that, the Pistons were still in it down the stretch. But Paolo Banchero made a couple of clutch threes at the top of the key, including the one where it did the Tyrese Halliburton, where it went back the back of the rim, up into the skies, and then back straight through the rim as the dagger. You mentioned the 3-point shooting from Desmond Bane. Big game from Jalen Suggs. I mean, Suggs, I think, is one of the big barometers for this team as well. And if Orlando's going to go 15 for 33 from 3, I mean, they're not going to lose a whole lot of games shooting that well from 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. Good job with the 3-point shooting by Orlando, getting good looks and getting, good number to fall. So, yeah, you haven't really seen an 8 seed do this to 1 seed before. So, it's crazy to me. But, like, still though, I'm like, by this, I'm not, like, too surprised by how the matchup is going, because, like, I knew Orlando could match up with this team because they like to, play a similar style of basketball as the Pistons. They like to be physical and, really just playing like a grinded out type team. Jamal Mosley, those JB Bickerstaff, well, they're like, friends, except not totally in the series.
Not all this series. Yeah, it just you're definitely right. I mean, you don't see this happen a whole lot. Like the most recent one that you can remember is, of course, Miami in 2023 on their road to the finals when they knocked off the Bucks in the first round when Milwaukee was without Giannis. To he was hurt for basically the first 3 full games of the series, and they had a 2-1 lead, eventually winning in 5 games. But I mean, both teams are healthy. Both teams are fully healthy here, and you have an Orlando team that, again, I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. I mean, besides the third quarter of game 2, I think Orlando has had complete control of this series, and I would not be surprised at all to see them, take this series at this point with how they've been playing, just because they have had the experience of going through multiple first round failures in the playoffs to superior teams, and they know what it's like to be there and how to bounce back in situations and play well at home. Like they showed near the end of the game that Orlando is now 6-1 at home over the last few years in the postseason, which is the best mark in the league in that span. Of course, limited amount of games, but they know how to take care of home court. And they're going to be back there again for game 4. And Detroit, this is going to be, I mean, most likely their season here. I mean, if this young team goes down 3-1, it's going to be hard for them to come back here. So just a great win by Orlando. Just getting all those guys to play well in the starting lineup, and Paolo Banchero finding a way to have a very solid game while not being super efficient from the field, which he had for sometimes just was not able to do. If he earlier in the season, if he had this sort of game where he had a 6 for 17 shooting game, they weren't going to win that game. But there are other guys were having it going. Desmond Bane, the 7 for 9 from 3, like you said, and they were able to pull out the win to take a 2-1 lead. Orlando Magic 2-1 lead on the top seeded Detroit Pistons. Unbelievable. Moving on to our next game, another pivotal game 4. This was the game I was really looking forward to here today. Game 4 of the Knicks and the Hawks, a series that's been the best so far in the playoffs. We had back-to-back 1-point victories by the Atlanta Hawks. New York could have, with a loss in this game, would have gone down 3-1. So we're looking to see the Knicks come out and have a very strong performance, and boy, did they! Blowing out the Hawks here, 114-98, to come away with a Game 4 victory to even the series at 2 games apiece. What a huge game this was for New York. Came out immediately, and both teams started out shooting a ball pretty well. But once, the dust settled in there, New York was the team that was making shots, making the extra pass, the first team to all the loose balls. They just played like the better team, and they had a great performance in this game.
Yeah. Great response by the Knicks. They just looked overall better. The offense is more smooth. The ball was flowing better on offense here, which is good for them. And they didn't get any performances that was too crazy for the Knicks, but it was just overall good team ball. Different guys finding ways to contribute in good ways. Like Karl Anthony Towns really contributed a good way. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Well done by Towns. He had a good series so far against the Hawks, and I got to give him credit. He stepped up. His rebounding and his defense, I would say, has improved. I got to give him a lot of credit for that. He needs to keep that up for the Knicks to have, a better chance in the playoffs this year. And
yeah, I mean, overall for the Knicks, I just think they did a great job getting the guys that they needed to get going. They got them going to start the game. When you look at Karl Anthony Towns, immediately got himself going by getting an offensive rebound, little chicken wing layup. He had CJ McCollum sealed on him in the post. Josh Hart found him, easy dunk. Like 2 easy buckets, and now that he's got it going, you got to start sending double teams. And, Karl Anthony Towns was just making great passes. The Hawks were, defending, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby. They were defending their players more so. I don't know if I'd call it a top lock, but New York was just able to get a ton of backdoor plays there, and Towns was able to be the distributor there, getting, a triple-double for Karl Anthony Towns. It was huge, 2010 and 10. I thought, he's having a big game when I thought he had way more than 20 just watching him play. But he was just making so many things happen on the floor. Mikal Bridges after going for 0 points in game three. Joey was on here, sending him a lot of messages here on this podcast. They got him a few layups and dunks in transition early. That got him going a little bit. Only played 19 minutes in this game, but he wasn't a negative contributor in this game like he had been earlier in this series. Josh Hart, big second quarter, ended up finishing with 10 points, and once again, another huge game from OG Anunoby, who goes for 22 points and 10 rebounds. He was unbelievable. And we haven't even really mentioned the performance of Jalen Brunson, because all those other guys were playing so well. Once again, and the bench came in and performed as well. And they were able to just perform very well on both ends of the floor, while the Atlanta Hawks finally regressed back to earth a little bit, especially from 3-point range. There was a lid on the basket all night long, but they could not get anything to go.
Yeah, Atlanta played some solid defense in this game. It was just fortunate for them. They just missed a lot of shots to where they couldn't make it close towards the end. And yeah, CJ McCollum only had 17 points in this one. He slowed down a bit. We were thinking, yeah, maybe that was just going to happen to him one game. And yeah, I think the Knicks, credit them, they had a great defensive game plan. They did a great job at just forcing the Hawks into taking tough threes this game, and a lot of them weren't able to fall. So, just better job of this game by the Knicks at, being more physical, forcing Hawks just overall in the tougher looks. While just, as I mentioned before, the Knicks is more smooth offense this game. So I think they really worked hard to make some good adjustments, going into this pivotal game for them. And to me, it seemed to pay off.
Yeah, and you credit Mike Brown, who's received a lot of flack throughout this series for, different coaching things. So you got to give him credit when things are going well, and, he makes the adjustments. Yeah, I mean, Atlanta didn't really get many standout performances. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was the only guy that was able to really knock down shots for them in this game. So good for them to see him get it going, hitting 5 threes, because, that's someone who struggled earlier in the series. But yeah, 0 for 4 from 3 for CJ McCollum. Bad game for Jonathan Kuminga, 0 for 6 from 3. Again, just leaving Dyson Daniels alone, and he's not making them pay for it. Rough game from Jalen Johnson again. Like, just across the board, they couldn't get shots to go down. There were a few times where, they were trying to make a push to get back in the game because they were down by double digits. And Ben, it just felt like every time they were right there to make the push to try to get that crowd going crazy again, there would be a missed open three, a missed layup, a turnover, and then a foul. Like, just there would just be another setback for them as they tried to come back. And you could just tell, I mean, this was just not really Atlanta's night. This was really their first flat out bad game of the series. Which we definitely could have saw coming, because they've been really hot lately.
Yeah. And just, it's tough, having these rough shooting performances. But Atlanta, they've done a good job at remaining close in the series against talented Knicks team, and just gotta keep trying and keep fighting. They're hanging in the series all right, and they can shoot the ball better somehow in game 5 remain close. Like, maybe they got a chance, because the Knicks in close games so far against the Hawks have lost. It's clutch time off is still a bit of a concern for the Knicks. So if the Hawks can make it close to the next game, maybe they bounce back, but it'll be an MSG, so that'll be a helpful boost for Knicks as always when they're in the Garden.
Yeah, either way, this was a big win for New York. Again, completely switches the momentum of this series. Because if things were not feeling good for them after they went down 2 games to 1. Now they get this comfortable win in Game 4, go back home for a best-of-3 series with them having 2 of the 3 potential games at home. You feel pretty good about their chances the rest of the way in the series. Final game that was today was Game 3 of the 1A matchup in the Western Conference. Oklahoma City and Phoenix, and the Thunder took home Game 3, 121-109 to take a 3-0 lead in this series. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 42 points, and he only missed 3 shots. He was amazing, Ben, in this game, and this was it just shows why he's so good and the Thunder as a team are so good, because it felt like for the Suns, they had improved in so many different areas since this series first started. They only turned the ball over 11 times. Like, they did a pretty decent job of taking care of the ball. They stopped like basically most of the other Thunder key players from really scoring, but Shai just puts together this otherworldly performance, and they still win comfortably.
Yeah, Shea, I believe, had the most points he scored in the playoff game tonight in
Yeah.
this game. So just scary. Shea has already been unbelievable. It's just showing he keeps continuing to get even better when, some other guys were struggling a bit on your team for the Thunder. Is what you gotta do as your superstar, see if you could put them on your dick and go off and have a big performance. And that's what Shea did in this one. But I feel like the Suns' improvement, and they still got some good performances offensively from Dylan Brooks, 33 points, and Jalen Green with 26. Devin Booker did kind of struggled again against the Thunder on offense today, only 16 points, so didn't a whole lot. But yeah, it's just Thunder is so good. Just it's just it's good to see the Suns to make some improvements, but yeah, it's just the Thunder team are just tough. But the Suns, at least they made it here into the first round. It's been a successful season from them.
Yeah, for sure. You got to give credit to the Suns for continuing to fight, but just not enough against this team. I mean, with Dylan Brooks, I mean, he's gone for 30 the last 2 games, and it hasn't been enough. So we'll see if they have any more fight left in them in Game 4 against this Thunder team. Of course, Shai, the unbelievable performance, making tough shots. I mean, again, this guy is just unbelievable with his efficiency, with the shots that he takes, and just seems to have no problem making them. I mean, 15 of 18 from the field, 11 of 12 from the free throw line. So he took 30 total shots in this game and missed 4. That's sick. That's just sick. I mean, it's crazy. And it's able to withstand a game where they still don't have Jada with the injury, week to week basis with the hamstring injury. Chet Holmgren only has 10 points. He only takes 6 shots. AJ Mitchell, the other guy in the backcourt, has 15 points, but on 20 shots, 5 for 20 from the field. But he ended up making his teammates better down the stretch. Lou Dort had a big 3. Alex Caruso, hit 3 threes, 13 points for him. It just felt like they had gotten up to that lead in that fourth quarter. And the Suns, when they were trying to make a push, because they weren't going away. Every time they were making a 3, the Thunder would just find a way to dissect the Suns' defense, and Shai would be the one dishing it out to his teammates or just nailing these tough shots. So great road victory for Oklahoma City. Definitely feel confident that they can get this series done pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I'm confident they could get the series done quickly, and wouldn't be surprised if they went on to sweep the Suns. But it would be nice to see the Suns at least somehow take one game still. Game 4, you never know, but the Thunder are just so good. It's going to be not easy again. And yeah, I mean, we could be hearing about a second round series between two teams already coming up here soon. Crazy enough.
Yes, we can. But yeah, those are all four of the games from Saturday. No real close games. The Magic Piston one's definitely the closest one, but again, just crazy results across the board, led by the Timberwolves taking the 3-1 lead over Denver without their starting backcourt, losing DiVincenzo for the rest of the season, unfortunately. And then we'll see how long Anthony Edwards is out with the hyperextended left knee. As far as the games going on today, it's the weekend and it's the first round still. So once again, we got games all day long. Big game four starting at 1 o'clock on ESPN with game four between the Cavs and the Raptors. Toronto coming off of that impressive fourth quarter where they just couldn't miss a shot to defeat the Cavs, get on the board in that series. Ben, as the Cavs look to respond here in this game, what are you looking to see from them as they look to get the split in Toronto?
Cavs have to not turn over the ball a ton again. We need to limit that. James Harden definitely needs to limit that. He's had some turnover issues. And Cavs can't be leaving Toronto open for open perimeter shots or let them blow by down near the hoop. There's issues with that defensively. Game free. So the Cavs got to be more locked in with those areas. Those were definitely big keys for me. And Cavs just got to get some big performances from somebody, from multiple guys, ideally. Like, hopefully, Mitchell is in tech mode and just gets a lot of shots to fall. And hope Harden's doing his, you know, uh, thing with a good kind of James Harden game, some nice, tough baskets going in from him, and then he's dishing out assists, but some role players have struggled to get it going from the Cavs, and I'm thinking, like, maybe this could be the game we could see some role players or two break out and have some nice performances from the Cavs, and they're definitely going to need that because it's a tough road environment in Toronto, so it would help to have some other guys step up. Like, I love it if Sam Merrill could get catch on fire for free. That, like, when he really gets going for free, that something like that could be a good X factor to maybe helping the Cavs win this one.
Yep, and then the Raptors, looking to get, finally have the breakout game from Brandon Ingram. Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett both had incredible games in game three, and the Raptors, again, the 3-point shooting was just ridiculous. Hitting their first five and then hitting the final 8 to end the game. I mean, it was just crazy. And the Cavs didn't shoot the ball that well either. So Toronto looking to get some more big performances from those guys in a must-win game for them. Don't want to be down 3-1 going back to Cleveland. It was announced that Emmanuel quickly has been ruled out for the remainder of the series. He re-aggravated I believe his hamstring injury, which is just poor for the Raptors, man. I know Raptors fans are upset because in their regular season finale against the Brooklyn Nets, who of course had been in the tankathon race the whole season, the Raptors brought quickly back for that game, and that is reportedly where he re-injured it and it is going to miss this series. And he could make a huge difference here. So I know Raptors fans not to, the Raptors team as well, not happy about what happened there. But big game again, Cavs Raptors game 4 at 1 p.m. Then at 3:30, game 4 between the Spurs and the Trailblazers, with Victor Wembanyama still a game time decision with the concussion injury suffered in game 2. Of course, if he's back in this game, that would be enormous for the Spurs as they look to take a commanding 3-1 lead. But I've loved the fight that Portland has given so far. I love what the young core for the Spurs have done. We talked about it their game yesterday. So that should be a fun game 4 in Portland, Ben.
Yeah, should be good, fun, physical fight between those young teams, and I like the Spurs' chances a lot if Wemby's able to somehow get back to play just with how dominant we know Wemby is, and him being able to create matchup problems with Trailblazers. But if Wemby's not playing, then Trailblazers could have a shot if they're shooting it well for free, getting some guys to go off for some big performances. You never know, they could win, and they're definitely going to need Danny Abdia to get back and hopefully have a big performance. He's had a rough last few games, so I'm curious to see if he will be able to do that or not.
Yep, no question about it. Then at 7 p.m. on NBC and Peacock, game 4 between the Celtics and the 76ers after Boston picked up that big victory in game 3 as the Sixers were trying to climb back here. Of course, for Philadelphia, hoping that there's a slim chance that Joel Embiid can make his debut here in the series. But even without him, they've proven these last few games to be able to put up a fight against the Celtics team after a struggle in game 1. So what do the Sixers need to have happen here to go back to Boston tied up at 2?
76ers have to just, hope that they could force Boston, just letting Boston do their thing and take a lot of tough threes. That a lot of those threes don't fall. They're really going to need that. They, have a chance to win, and hopefully VGH can bounce back and have a nice scoring game, not scoring 10 points again. That could help them out if they get that. So Philadelphia just needs to get on a roll offensively and get shots to fall and really just force Boston into taking tough shots, playing great defense. I think tough shots, great defense is main key for the 76ers to tie it up at 2-2 going into game 5 in Boston.
Yeah, definitely would agree. Should be a fun atmosphere there once again in Philadelphia. And then finally, 9:30 on NBC and Peacock, game 4 between the Lakers and the Rockets, with the Lakers a chance to become the first team in the playoffs to advance. Can we first talk about how crazy that is? That the Lakers could be the first team to advance to the second round with all the injuries to Luka and Reeves, and that they could be the team to advance first. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, if I found out that would happen in the future before all these playoff series started, like, or someone just predicted that, I would have been like, dude, you're just crazy. You're out of your mind. Really? But
These were our predictions going
nope.
into the series.
Yeah, I know. Look at mine. The Rockets and Warriors from the complete opposite way. It's unbelievable. I thought Houston was gonna show up more this series, and look, just at least decent on offense, not just bad there every game. But here we are. Also, I mean, kind of hard to predict. You know what was tough with the prediction was I didn't totally know that Durant would already missed a few games. That's tough for Houston, and you gotta hope Durant somehow back tomorrow, and you can at least when maybe him finally having a big game here in the playoffs to try to avoid that getting swept. It would be embarrassing to get swept, so it'd be good to see the Rockets not get swept. Though they're in trouble in this series, but just gotta hope that there's more improvement and some more encouraging signs about from them, especially on the offensive end.
Yeah, man, no matter what happens, I want to see the Rockets go down with their best effort, with their guys playing to their capabilities. If they make some mistakes, it happened. Hopefully, not to the extent that they did at the end of Game 3 when they had the Game 1. But I think that's all you kind of want to see in these situations. You want Durant to come back, and you want to see the Rockets try to take a game here and not go down on a sweep, because that it's what has happened has already been kind of embarrassing. So what as an NBA fan, I kind of just want to see the Rockets come out, lay it all on the floor, and go down like a team that, should be known for their physicality, their aggressiveness, their toughness, their energy, their athleticism, forcing turnovers. Like I hope that we see a very competitive performance by the Rockets in this game, no matter what happens. I mean, again, the Lakers have put themselves in an unbelievable position. And like you said here, Ben, we could be here in a couple days here, already starting to preview our first second round series between the Lakers and OKC, if OKC wraps up their series on Monday night, in which both of those teams would just have a lot of time to rest and prepare for that star filled second round matchup. So it should be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun, and the Lakers could win tonight. It would be huge. It would be great for their recovery, especially with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. You would hope that it could really help ramp them up in the basketball conditioning that's good for them, and then maybe they're ready at the start of the Thunder series. It would be big getting them back against the Thunder because, well, they would really need them to have any chance to really be competitive against the Thunder now. Like the Thunder, they're actually, at a definitely better level than the Lakers still.
They're not going to make dumb mistakes and not take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, they're smart enough not to make you know dumb, costly mistakes at times with the Rockets. Totally true.
Yeah. But no, I think the point about getting the extra time for Luka and Reeves to come back is super important. Who knows? Again, we Austin Reeves might be back for this game. I think it'd be crazy if he was back, but he could be back for this game. But I think along with that, it's also important to get this done for the Lakers in this game tonight, so that all the guys that have been playing and playing extended minutes more so than most of these guys have ever played in their careers, so that they can get rested as well. Because when you look at the numbers on the series, Rui Hachimura, Luke Kennard, and LeBron James are all averaging 41 plus minutes per game in the series. Marcus Smart at 36 minutes. And besides LeBron, he's 41 years old, of course. These are all super high minutes for every game for all these guys, and all those guys playing at an unbelievable level. Like, it's crazy looking at this, that LeBron, Kennard, and Smart are all averaging 20 plus points per game in a playoff series. Crazy stuff, and they're up 3-0. We'll see if they can get the deal done here tonight against the Houston Rockets. But that is it here for us on the recap. Ben, you have anything else before we get out of here?
I do not.
All right, well, let's peace on out of here, man. I hope you all enjoy the big games here tonight, and we'll be back on Monday to discuss all the things that have happened here. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA playoff content. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
See you.